we have courts for a reason. We're debating for a reason. It's because we want to find the truth. We want to find what's the highest, we want to achieve that highest value. And in these courts, in these cross-examinations, the reason why they're doing this is because they're looking for justice. Not just on who feels worse or who feels bad, but who really committed the crime, the extent of their crime, and the extent of the harms which are happening. And we say cross-examination is a necessary and justifiable means of doing this at the end of the day. Because now we question the government side, on which side really achieves justice. Because both of their speakers have been talking about sex is an intimate act, it's something that they might become embarrassed of, all of these different things. But at the end of the day, are they helping at all in the justice system? Are they helping to find out which one is going, whose fault is it at the end of the day? And we say no, something that they need to prove to us from the very, that they should have proved to us from the very start. And with that said, let's actually move on to my 4 rebuttals to the whole government side. The first one on how they talked about sexual history as a private affair. Although we admit that sexual history is a private affair, we say, so what? This is a court and we need to be able to go through some boundaries if we want to achieve justice. Because in court, they're not just asking about sexual history, they're asking you where you were, where you work, all of these things that have to do with the court, your address, many factors which are also private, which are also personal. But why do we ask them anyway? Because we want to remove all doubt. We want to know what's the truth, and we want to know the extent of who is to blame and how much harm is happening at the end of the day. Something which they won't be able to do if they ban cross-examination. Second one on how they said there are witnesses anyway. Mr. Chair, even though we can see that to some extent there may be witnesses, is this present in any case? And is this present in every case at the end of the day? We say that if there's no witnesses, and given the fact that there is no assurance of witnesses in every case, we need to get as much information, as much knowledge as we can. And cross-examination is a way of doing this, and something that therefore helps in achieving that justice. Third, on the first speaker on their argument of consent, on how he said that, come on, sexual history before sexual intercourse is consensual, so that has nothing to do with rape. First of all, doesn't the amount of frequency of time she does have sex, the people she had sex with, have something to do with the person who will be raping her, or to the frequency or the probability of her getting raped, and all of these different factors? We say when you look at it, these things are necessary in finding out a case such as rape, because sexual history does have something to do with rape, and that's something that we stand by. Please sit down, sir. And the fourth thing here, which they still haven't rebutted from my previous speaker, was the idea of motives. These people don't always, no one ever gets raped in this one simple, same method over and over. Or, yeah, anyway. We say that rape can actually happen in different situations, different scenarios. And we say that you can't simply assume that just because it's rape, that's the end of the story. We say there's more than that. There's inner motives, there's reason, she could possibly be lying. And if we don't cross-examine this person, then how can we assure ourselves of the truth? How can we assure that she's not lying, just committing blackmail, and many other reasons? The reason for the court is to remove all doubt, and that's what we're doing when we cross-examine this person. Now, with that said, please sit down. We say there are going to my first argument, there's variations in every case, and that's why we need cross-examinations. Because we say that, for example, a promiscuous partying girl who gets drunk at every party and flirts with every guy has, of course, some degree of guilt in the matter when she does get into a sexual affair which she afterwards doesn't like, compared to an innocent civilian who just walks in the street and gets raped in an alley. We say these are two very different scenarios, and the extent of harms and level of guilt of not just of the accused is something that varies. And we say when it can affect the decision, when the decision can be anything from going free to a death penalty, we say we want to make sure we get the proper decision at the end of the day, that we achieve justice. And we can do this if we have cross-examinations. And but yes, defend yourself.
How does the court of sexual activity can prove that she is indeed lying or not lying? Here.
First of all, you can't just simply say that this thing has to do. You can't simply just say that every fact will equivalent to a guilty or not guilty. We say it goes more than that. In court, it's very sophisticated. We're simply saying that the more knowledge we have about this person, the more knowledge about the sexual encounters that she has and the people she's been with, then the more chance of us to achieve the truth at the end of the day. And that's what we're trying to do. Because we can't we're not God here. We're not going to be absolutists and say that cross-examinations will always bring out the truth. We're saying it's a step in that direction, and no matter how ineffective it is, if it does bring some level of good, then we're willing to defend that at the end of the day. And with that said, let's go on. And so with that said, we say that it is necessary, and it is helpful in the court of law. Now with that said, let's move on to my second argument on the value of justice in court dynamics. Since the court always stands by evidence. That's how it makes its decisions. That's how it finds out who's guilty or not guilty. It's because it needs evidence. It just doesn't make decisions right or left. And we say that sexual history does give some evidence because it gives us now an idea of how this victim thinks, or probably how she was, or probably how she feels about getting raped, or how she feels about having sex. If she's more willing to have sex than, say, for example, a nun, then of course she's probably more liable and she probably has less reason to be angry about and all of these different things. We say that how a person thinks and how a person acts in society has something to do with how she's going to be treated in it at the end of the day. And we say that's important when you want to know who's guilty and not guilty at the end of the day. Because our highest priority here is still justice. Although we can see that privacy may be important, it's not absolute. It's a basic rebuttal to that already. Rights aren't absolute, and we're willing to bypass that if we find out who's guilty or not guilty. Because that's the purpose of the court. That's the purpose of judicial system. And if we're trying to protect the lives of the people, or protect lives of these people, and we want to uphold it at the end of the day, which is the very purpose of it, we say then we're ready to take that, and we're ready to take that stance. Something which they won't do just because they're ashamed of who which government side is ashamed to do, just because they're ashamed to say that they're virgins or what have you. We say that we're going to look past that because we want to be able to get the truth. We want to remove all doubt. It's something that we can do. It has been a tool of the court since the very, very beginning, and something inherent and necessary and justifiable in the court of law. Thank you.